Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Man Cave. And tonight we have what you might call a mandate. It's just a frank discussion, bunch of guys from the church. We just want to have a very, frank discussion, very open discussion about how this pandemic, this coronavirus, COVID-19, how this has affected us. There's an old adage that, if you cry, you show weakness. And unfortunately, a lot of men live by that. You cry in the shower, or you cry in the dark, you cry when nobody's looking. But for all of us, we've been affected emotionally, mentally, in some way, shape, or form. And today, this is all we're going to do. We're just going to discuss it. It's the first of two-part. It's a two-part series. When we broadcast this again, it'll include some other things, and we just want to build on it. And so today we just want to bring you in and just have a discussion about what's going on with us, what's going on in our mind, and hopefully a lot of you out there can just relate to what's going on. Thank you. Hey, so we're here in the Man Cave, and today we have with us Gary Coop. Yep. We also have with us Danelle Lewis.
Hey, welcome.
We have with us Hudson Sanews.
Thanks for having me.
And many of you know Omar Williams.
Hey.
So we're gonna kick this off kick it off right away, and I want to ask each of them a question. And I'll start with Danelle. Danelle, give just a brief synopsis. I know it might be a lot, that you might want to say, but just give us a synopsis of how has this pandemic, this pandemic affected you emotionally and mentally? What toll has it taken on you?
I'd say with this pandemic, it made me feel confused, sometimes hopeless, just with the volume of what's going on.
Give me a little bit more on that.
With the confusion, it's when I first heard of when the pandemic first presented itself, and I heard about it. It was more of, say, the information that was coming forth. It was, to me, it was late because there's stuff that I already read and was keeping track of before that. So when I hear the information coming forth, to me it's confusing because the information to me doesn't seem real sometimes. But I know that the pandemic is real because people that I personally know died from it.
And what do you mean when you say it makes you feel hopeless?
Hopeless being that I'm a man who like to prepare. I like to think ahead. So for me, it's like first they said 2 weeks. So I went out and I actually gathered supplies for, let's say, a month.
So you were buying up all the toilet paper?
Yeah. Yep, I still have enough to go by.
So everybody know where to go.
So come get mine. You're welcome. Don't worry, guys. For one roll, $10. I got to make a profit.
I hope the federal government is listening to
this. That's COVID inflation.
Practice gouging.
Yeah, so with that, it's just like, so I prepare, and it was being prepared. I was like, hey, 2 weeks. 2 weeks come by. My kids are in school, and I'm still looking at the information as it goes by, and I'm like, wait, this is not getting any better. So I had to make the decision: should I keep sending my kids, because my kids don't know what social distancing is. So I took them out of school early and started asked for the curriculum that they have at school and started teaching them at home a week early. A week later, they closed out the school. They're like, hey, kids can't come in. But it's something that I kind of foresee, so I took the initiative and did it first. Then it goes from 2 weeks to a month. Now I'm at home and I have to train the kids. I have to do the homework, do the work with them. I'm the parent, the teacher, and I'll tell you, sometimes the teachers, sometimes you think the problem is the teacher, it's the kids. But I'm working with the kids, doing their work. Sometimes the work that the kids doing, it's hard. Doing some of the math problem with the kids, when you do it with them, you think you're right. I'm looking over the questions and I'm like, I'm right. And then my wife come in and look at it and be like, what are you doing? Look at this. Why you make this mistake? So, you know, don't check your own work. Have someone else check your work.
That's good. That's good stuff. So, Huddy, you talk to me, man. We call Hudson Huddy. So, Huddy, talk to me. How does that make you feel emotionally, man? What are you feeling on the inside? What's going on?
Well, it took some time to adjust being out of work, first of all. And being home with the wife and kid takes a little while to adjust. I'm used to going to work every morning. And just being home, it's a real adjustment. You start to lose sight of what day it is. Day becomes night. You're just home all the time. And that was probably the biggest adjustment for me in the beginning. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm home all day with the wife, which is cool, but you just have the urge and the itch to get out the house. And then with them telling you, don't leave the house, and having to have a mask on at all times, it was tough. For me, it wasn't as bad, like, because I wasn't as afraid as my wife was, or is still now. She wants to spray everything down with alcohol. You can't touch this, can't touch that. She's on top of me all the time. And I'm frustrated because I don't wholly believe everything that's coming out about this disease. I think they're overstating all of these things that's happening. I know some people are dying, but I just feel that they're exaggerating in the news. They're trying to pump fear into the community for some other reason that they only know. So for me, being home, like I said, is frustrating. I want to get back to work. I want to be out there. I'll take my precautions and put on the mask, put on the PPEs. I work in the medical field, so I have to do that anyway.
What do you do?
I'm a sonographer, so I deal up close with patients. You know, I'm in private offices and I see up to 10 to 15 patients a day. So I'm accustomed to it. You know, I deal with sick people all the time. You just have to put on your PPEs. You make, which is personal protective equipment. You make sure the patients have on what they're supposed to have on. I protect myself, and I just do what I need to do. And that's it in my mind. I don't think.
So with a lot of the uncertainty and, you know, about how this transmission takes place, in your field,
Yes.
don't you feel some kind of fear, some kind of trepidation about, you know, coming in contact with the wrong patient and then going back home with that stuff?
I worry more about my family than myself. I'm not afraid.
But ultimately, they're the ones that's gonna, you know, because you're gonna get it. You're gonna
Exactly.
Right.
So that's why when my wife speaks and she nags me about not going to work and being extra cautious, I listen for the protection of my son and for her. If I was alone, believe me, I'd be out there working every day. I wouldn't stop working. I just don't believe that this disease, I don't know how to put it, affects people like they're saying. You know, it affects older folks, people with underlying conditions. And I personally think a lot of home remedies we can use could help fight off this disease, you know? So, like I said, it's an adjustment. I'm not as afraid. I'm ready to go back to work. And I don't know, that's about it. I mean, to be honest with you, Bob.
All right, good. So, Gary, what's going on with you emotionally, man? You know, what's going on in your head? What's going on? You got a family too. You know, you got to deal with being home with them, and you know, I mean, you go out to work?
Yeah, I'm the other side of Hudson.
Okay.
I wish I was home. You know, I go to work every day. Yes, there's sometimes you have that fear in the back of your mind that, you know, what if this person, you know, has it and you get infected and you take it home. You know, every day at work we wear those PPE,
Personal protection.
yeah, we wear that every day, and wearing a mask is not something new. That's what we do every day. But just, the information that's coming across, I don't think it's accurate, because sometimes it's contradictory when you hear the media saying you might get it this way, you might get it that way. So, going home sometimes you get in the house and because Daddy said, no, just let me wash my hands, let me take off his clothes, and so you're trying to be very protective of the family. But I think at one point when it started, when we hear the outbreak, I think I was getting depressed because I was laying down in bed. I'm wondering why I can't sleep, and I just stopped and said, wow, I'm really overthinking about this thing, that it's taking my sleep away. So, talking to Moses, and said, listen, God is, in control. He's going to protect us and so forth. So she had to actually kind of reassure me that God is still there. Sometimes you hear the word, but when the reality hits you, you can't find the answer in the word. So sometimes you need a person, a voice to talk to you, that, tangible person in front of you. So I felt depressed, I felt down, but, just hearing those words kind of picked me up, and I had to shake myself off and just, get back on track.
All right, so before we move on, I just want to ask one question, because I know, I used to work in pharmaceuticals, going in the manufacturing floor as well. And Huddy, you probably know about this too, as far as wearing PPEs. Oh, well. Yeah, you could wear PPEs, but if you apply it incorrectly, you could infect yourself and other people. So it's not just in putting on PPEs. How do you feel about, doing it? Did it change anything that you did as far as, were you more cautious? Were you, how did that affect you?
Yes, I think I was more cautious because, even wearing a face mask, sometimes, you might touch something. You grab the face mask and you pull it down and it's touching your mouth. And I have to be conscious of that. You know what? I'm going to either pinch it at the bottom, try to pull it away from my nose, not touch my face, or if you take it off, try not to touch your face. So I'm more, conscious of
What you're doing.
infecting myself, because, there's so much on the job where people still, they don't care. They sometimes don't even wash their hands. So before that, I used to be very cautious. I'm going to hold on to the doorknob. I don't even hold it with my hand. I use my shirt or something. So, just to be protective and just try to be safe. That's something I used to do before.
Okay. So we want to move a little bit to the another end of the spectrum now. So, Omar, I'm sorry. So you don't necessarily, you're not compelled to go out and work with other people. You're in the ministry, and that's what you do full time. So there's a little bit more control as far as how and when you interact with people. I mean, barring the fact that you got to come on and baptize some people, so that's on you. But tell me, how does that affect you? And then, more than like you're a man of the cloth. So if you're not living the word, they'll tell you in a minute. Were you scared? What was going on with you?
This season has been it's been weird. I'll say that, and I'll clarify that word in a second here. It's been weird. As you said, I'm full time in the ministry, and so my work is not as rigid. I don't have to really go to a physical place. We're set up so we can work remotely, and so I've been able to still continue working from home. On the one hand, staying home, I feel like I get more done. To be quite honest with you, I get more done. I get to set work at my own pace, set my own schedules, and being introverted, that kind of works for me. So on the one hand, it's been good in that way. But then there is the whole thing of days running into the other one, and there is this, after a while, this kind of a boredom creeps in, because even as introverted as I am, I still need to get out and interact with people and to have that to pull some energy from folks. So it's been weird in that way. Coming out to the water baptisms is something too. Just ensuring that we are following proper guidelines and procedures to come out, to make sure I got my gloves on and my mask on, and whoever I'm going to baptize that day too have their mask on while we're interacting with them until we get them in the pool. So there is that weird dynamic, but as you said before, I have to be talking to myself. You know, you're a man of the cloth. You have to kind of overcome whatever skepticism you have about the baptism, and do the best you can to get this done, and trust that, you know. But it's been kind of weird. I'll be honest with you. There are times when I have felt just a little bit depressed. Just being home.
That's the D word.
I know, man. I know. Can I say there are times when I felt a little depressed, and I'm just being honest.
That's a spirit.
Lay hands on. But yeah, but there are times when I have really felt down, and when this became real for me, and it was more so in the winter, when we're coming out of winter, and you know, sometimes the days are gloomy around you already. And then I look out on Linden Boulevard and everything is shut down. There is nobody. It's almost apocalyptic. Like there is a scene from a movie and I'm looking to see The Walking Dead coming or whatever. So yeah, the zombies. So it's been surreal not being able to travel to, and travel is for me a very critical part of how I maintain my emotional balance. I need to get away sometimes or whatever. So it's been real. It really has been real, but I'm thankful that I've got good friends that I talk to multiple times a week. Bob, yourself being one of them. Thankful for the time you come by the parking lot and we kick a ball around the parking lot or just chat. And you know, there's other friends in my life that I can talk to every now and then. You know, so that's what keeps me sane, as introverted as I am.
So I'm gonna kind of hold your feet to the fire because, you know, husbandmen must be the first partaker, as you know,
all right,
as far as scripture is concerned. Did it impact you spiritually? I know people don't want to talk about this, but did it impact you spiritually? Was there anything that changed in your faith and, you know, God, where are you? You know, talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest enough to say that I never really asked the question of God, where are you in all of this? I feel like I've already been through so much. If we should go back a few years down the road about other issues that I've been through, when I've really cried out to God multiple times and say, God, where are you? So I not to sound braggadocious, but I feel like when this happened, my faith was already at that place where I understand. And you and I, we've talked about a lot of things where I already understand that we serve a good God, but He allows us sometimes to go through difficult, uncertain blotches to strengthen our faith. And so I'm glad for the struggles I've already been through that brought me to this place where now I can be there in this season to help others who are saying, God, where are you?
So for you, as different with some of us here, you have an advantage. So you're teaching on Tuesday. You got to do the Wednesday Bible study. And you're teaching other people, because there are a lot of times when I text you or I call you and you're like, hey, I'm doing a Bible study on Zoom, so you're constantly in the Word. So that helps you, right? Yes. Because it keeps you now, well, you're preaching to somebody else. You don't want to look like a hypocrite because now your faith is wavering. No, that's, so that kind of helped you. Right. Now on the flip side, I got to ask my friend next to you, Huddy, who we see once a month. We come to church. So
it's a man's shift.
Yeah, I know. He got a shift where he come once a month. So, Huddy, talk to me. Did it affect you spiritually? Did you see things differently in terms of your spirituality?
If anything, it helped me, to be honest with you, because with all of this going on, I always relate whatever's going on in my life or in the Word or in the world to the Bible. So when this whole pandemic came down and I'm hearing lockdown and this and that, the first thing I think about is Revelation. I go back to the Word and I start thinking, the end of days, what did Jesus say about this? And it just makes me, to be honest with you, want to open up my Bible. It makes me want to read, and I start reaching out for all the brothers out there. Like, listen, guys, I know I haven't been here in a week, in a month or two, but what's up with you guys? You said that? I want to talk to you. Yeah, I
get more texts from Buddy now.
What's up? You still there? What's going on? I started reaching out to the whole congregation. To be honest with you, yeah, it really had me, because I was depressed too. It would get me down, and I start to think, wow, Jesus is coming back. This world is going through so much right now. God is coming back. So whenever something like this happens, it actually draws me closer. It makes me want to read the Bible more. Talking to my wife, like, listen, before we go to bed, let's pray. I'm with my son. Listen, let's open up the Bible. Let's go over some things. You know, I'm giving him Bible quizzes and such. I'm like, listen, you're going to know who Jesus is before this is over. So you're going to know who Jesus is.
Oh, man.
I don't care what they're telling you. Listen to Daddy. Open this book. This book is life right here. And then I really start putting my nose back into the Bible and digging in, reading Revelations, going to bed, listening to the Word as I go to bed. So it actually has brought me closer. It reminded me.
So I want to, a spin off of that, I just want to ask, because your wife she doesn't come to church as often as you'd like, right? How did that impact or affect your ability to speak to her more in terms of, like, you know, spiritual things about God and, you know, that kind of stuff?
Well, just looking at the news every day, I would just bring it up to her, bring it to her attention. Say things like, babe, do you see what's going on? The Bible spoke about this. You know?
She was more receptive, you think?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Definitely. She would listen more and ask me. She was actually happy that I would sit with my son and open up the Bible and go over scripture with him.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, it's I see so many people that, you know, at first, you know, and a great majority of us, when we first come to God, we first come to church, we come to church based on fear. And, you know, I just want to move over to talk to another person that first came to God based on fear, because I remember we were at Great Adventure and we kicking that tram going overhead, and Huddy was the only one didn't have the Holy Ghost, wasn't saved yet, and the thing was rocking, and he's like, "Come on, guys, I'm not saved yet. I don't want to go to hell." So I know for Gary it was the same thing. Gary had an encounter where, because he ran, we used to teach him Bible study, and he ran from God until he had his moment. So I want to talk about that, as far as you now changing over. Now you're a priest in your house, right? And your wife goes to your entire family. Everybody in your house goes to church. How does that, you know, did it help, or did you have to step up and become more of a priest to help your family, to help understanding? You know, how did that change? Did it change anything at all? Tell me a little bit about that in your house.
Yes, it did change, because we prayed together more than before, because I leave my house early in the morning to go to work, but I come home early also. So before we even get to go to bed, we would sit and say, you know what, let's take a verse from the Bible. Before all of this, everybody, let's take the Bible. Oh, Daddy, can we do something else? You know. But now they see, you know, people that we know that died already from it. And we said, Daddy, you know, even sometimes they'll come to me, Daddy, let's look at what the Bible said. And I find that, you know, that this pandemic, it pushes us to get into the Word more. And I think even being home, you know, it's like a different, I'm actually learning more about my family than before, because you could see the different personality. Usually you come home, you turn the TV on, you know, you don't get time. Now we don't even bother to turn the TV on. We sit, we play games, we talk. And then I'm just looking at, you know, Gabby and Zoe, Gabby the oldest one, and then looking at Zoe, and then you see the different personality come out. I said, wow. I'm saying to Moses, did you notice that they do this, that? He said, yeah, you didn't notice that. I said, no, I'm just noticing it. So with this pandemic and we being home, I'm even learning about myself. that some stuff that I never thought that would get me, angry, like just,
With the kids or?
Yeah, with the kids.
Yeah.
And I actually had to, bring myself, just search myself. You know what? They're kids. There's some things they.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Where you going any further? Because that's the next. I want to move from that. Because I want to create like a little bit of a flow to that discussion. You brought up something that's very important, and you're the first one to talk about that, being angry and being short. And I want to capitalize on that. But before that, your family is similar to his. It's like a mirror image. You got 2 girls and your wife, and you guys are both in ministry, and you got to minister to all the young people out there, plus your family. Talk to me about that spiritually. How did that impact you?
For me and the family, first off, I'll just start saying, I thought I knew my girls, but I didn't. I like they're new to me. Like they've grown so much, but in between going out every day, in and out, you don't even realize how much they've grown. And now that I'm home, because I got laid off, so I'm home and I have more time with them, I actually see their growth. I see the difference in them. Now, spiritually, for me, when the whole pandemic happened, and now I have more time, I pray more. I always try like.
Yeah, you're on the 5 a.m. prayer. Yeah.
I wake up at that's a whole nother. There's something I wanted that I would say about that. I'm not sure if anyone on the prayer. I wake up in the morning and I pray on my own. And I got into like a routine, but the prayer was a routine. I wasn't putting my all into it. Then I just changed a couple things, like just calling on the 5 a.m. call and praying with the guys. And within the span of, within praying with them within I think about a month now, every morning that I call in, I would get filled.
So that's a plug, a shameful plug, but we got to put that plug anyway. 5 a.m. prayer. All the men out there, you guys viewing this, trust me, it helps.
Yeah.
For me, it's not. I don't really like it, but I've done it and it helps. It really helps. Yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
We want to know why you don't love it, because I think I'm from there now. There's a heathen. Why you don't love it? Come on now. You try to
okay. Not to derail what is, but for natural flow of things as far as the discussion is concerned. If I should describe my personality, I'm very much this lone wolf mentality where I don't want anyone in my space, and even with prayer, even with my family, I don't, don't touch me, don't pray with me, I just, I want to do, and then I'm a little overly analytical, and so when I hear something, my mind moves in a certain direction. So if I hear somebody praying, and if I hear them praying, and it's not the word, then it bothers me, and I'm like, bro, what are you saying? And certain things I find funny, just to make fun of him. My friend, I can make fun of him. Brother Andy was leading prayer one morning, and he said, Lord, take my breath, take all of me. And I'm on the prayer, I'm stopping, I'm like, you want to die, bro? so
suicide by God.
I spoke to him about it. We laughed about it. So he's my buddy. We laughed about everything. So he's like, when you get into that prayer and you really surrender to God, and I looked over and he's on video. When I look over the video, I'm like, whoa, this guy's really into this. So for me, just to stay focused, and sometimes I gotta lower it, move the phone across the room, and then pray. Something I have to do make a lot of adjustments. And then I spend a lot of time studying while I pray. Like I pray and I'm looking in the Word. I'm kind of like an addict for the Word. Yeah. So a lot of times God speaks to me through the Word. So it's different from what most people are used to. Most people are not looking in their Bible when they're praying. They just say, gimme, gimme, gimme. Yeah. And we're here. And Father, we're here. and 2 minutes later we're here again, and another 5 minutes later we're here again in front of you. Yeah, we're come before you, and you know, and I'm like, you're constantly coming before God. You're already here, you know. So you know, so there's just these little things. So I'm sorry. So yeah. So Bible and prayer, everybody.
I'd say even with the kids, what I do is they do Sunday school, and then during the week I have them. Before me and my wife used to teach about do like a devotion with the kids every other night. But now since the pandemic, what we have done is when they do Sunday school, to make sure that they stay focused and locked in, is we have them. They can either create their own devotion, or they can take the lesson from Sunday school, but they're going to come back and do the devotion now within the group, like within the family. So that way I can gauge if they're paying attention. Because it may sound weird, but within my family, the way that we do it is when it comes to, we do believe in education and foremost, but spiritual salvation comes first for us. We put that above everything else.
Boom.
Which is why I know people said, hey, you probably take your kids out a week early from school before the pandemic. Yes, I did. But when it comes to the things of God, that we put that above all else, because that's like, you know, having the degree, yes, it's good, it looks good on a resume and so forth, but having all that degree and not being saved, and which I also touch into with my spirituality, I had to reach out to my family. In my family, within my family, wife, kids, we're saved. My mom is not saved. My two brothers are not saved. So I reach out to them and do Bible study with them. And I even did a Bible study with my mom that I called her to do a Bible study, and she just brought everyone on the call. So we can do a Bible study, and we were going to do one segment, like half, and do the other half, and we sat there and did the whole Bible study, one segment, and everyone still wanted more.
Beautiful.
So, that's good. Yeah, good stuff.
And let me ask, how old are your girls?
9 and 10, or 11. So.
Okay.
And you're even preparing them for ministry, because you know, you're letting them come back and do the devotion.
Yeah. No, because I've been watching a lot of documentaries on like most dangerous roads, stuff like that, and I'm seeing little kids that are like 5, 6 in these other countries that are doing so much, and then I just stop to myself and say, hey, if they're working, the word of God comes first. This is easier than those kids are actually doing actual work, breaking rocks all day, because they start working at the age of 8, 9. So just studying the word of God.
I take offense to you saying that, man. He says they're doing actual work.
No.
You see your palms, buddy. I see your palms.
Okay. So you say I would do actual work?
Hey! I'm not saying anything. We was lifting chairs earlier. I saw this man lift one chair and he was sweating. So.
You know what? I'm never gonna do anything. I want you to see me do anything again.
So not to derail. I like what's going on, but not to derail, because you brought up something that's very, very important. So, you know, and I'll just tell on myself. I find that since I've been working from home, and most of the time I work from home anyway. But you know, I'm working from home, and then if they give me an assignment, I got to travel somewhere and go do an audit or something. But being home, what I find is that I thought that over the years I've been very intolerant. I'm very short. People get on my nerves real quick, because I think, if you know me for such a long time, you should know how I feel, or, whatever, and, you're having to deal with certain things. So I'm very short. I get angry, like nothing, So, and I thought that I was making progress, and I realized this whole thing has taken me, I feel like a caveman as far as my anger is concerned. It's like everything makes me angry now. I get a headache real quick, and everything makes me angry. Text messages make me angry, phone calls make me angry, everything makes me angry. And so you said a good thing where, good point you're making when you say that being home with them. What I find is that this constant, just being home, whereas if I'm traveling or I'm not home, it was easier to deal with them in doses. Now it's constant, and you're constantly getting questions and statements, and and you're constantly seeing things. They're not working either, or they're not going out, so you're sitting around and you're looking at, and now everything is magnified. And so I find that, and it carries over onto other things. So I get on a phone call, with even the phone calls with church, the calls that we make. I find myself being, come on, whatever. And I catch myself, and I feel bad about it because now it's like I have no long suffering. That's gone. No patience. I'm not temperate. I just lose it. And I got a text message, and I gotta say this again. She's my friend. I could say it. Someone texted me and said, and they know who they are. They say, I know I make fun of your ordinariness. Ordinariness means, how you're crotchety, you're very miserable. They say they know they make fun of my miserableness, but they appreciate me. And it made me think, am I that bad? Yes. I realize I am.
Yeah.
And so, if for nothing else, it makes me more aware that, and I realize I can't help it. And so I need more help, and so it makes you pray more, and you feel bad. Now you spend so much time going back and say I'm sorry, but I hate that part more than getting angry, going back to say you're sorry, because now I'm admitting that I'm weak, and that's just how I view things, and I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to stand here and say, well, I've conquered it all, and God bless you, the Spirit of God moves on me, and nothing like that. So I find that this constant, so I realize now, I'm more aware that all the stuff that I thought that I've accomplished in terms of being a little bit more patient, it's gone. So, with that said, talk a little bit more about that anger that you feel when, you're around your girls and whatever, and how do you manage that? And are you really aware, or after the fact, like with me?
Well, I'm actually aware now, but before I didn't realize how, short-tempered and just impatient I was. And it seemed like these triggers, they were there, but I didn't realize. And it would start like this. For example, I come home from work. Now, they've been in the house all day. They would eat snacks, and they would go from one room to the next, and they finish eating here, they leave everything. They go over here, and the minute, I'm not a neat freak, but I like stuff to be together. And I'll come in, and I said, the first thing I said, stop what you're doing. Get off the phone, get off. Daddy, I'm doing schoolwork. I don't care. Get off and come and clean up. I don't want to hear it. And I'm like way up here. No, Mosa is also working from home. She's on her Zoom thing with her boss, and she said, what's going on? Who's that in the back? Then I had to catch myself. I said, wait, all right, I got to bring it down. So afterwards, even some nights, to be honest, I could confess this. Some nights I go to bed, I'm mad. If the rapture happened,
left behind.
So I had to catch myself. I said, you know what? Life is short. People are dying, and these little things we could work on, so I don't have to get bent out of shape. So I had to stop and just, calibrate, try to work in, these situations and talk to them. So listen, let's start over. We're going to clean up, we're going to take this, we're going to take that. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because sometimes I go back and then I have to come back again and say, you know what, like you said.
Catch yourself.
Yeah, when you go back and say, you know what, I'm sorry. It's hard for me to bring myself down. It's like you bring yourself, you know what, you were wrong, but my reaction. And one of the things that really irks me sometimes, Moses would say this to me: the kids are controlling you. What are you talking about? Then look at your reaction. They're just kids. Why are you reacting? So I had to stop. I said, you know what, you're right. So I had to stop and search myself, and whenever I start thinking ahead, okay, if I do this, if they do that, I'm not going to react this way. So I constantly trying to work it, and I'm not there yet. I'm still trying to get there. So they've been really helping me too, because I went home yesterday, and this is a problem that I have too. I start looking around for where's the plates, where's the dirty stuff. So I have to stop and say,
So you do the bishop thing. When bishop come in church, you start looking around for what's wrong.
So I stopped looking at what's wrong. I'm just happy that I'm home and, just sit and talk and hug them and just enjoy them. So that's something that I'm working on.
All right. So, Huddy, you home a lot now, and totally different mindset. Value system. You get angry?
Not as much as you guys get angry.
I don't get that angry.
And you guys both say you have a hard time saying sorry. I say sorry all the time. I'm quick to say sorry.
Before I do this on shift, that's
I'm quick to say sorry. I do something, if I'm wrong on something, I tell my son all the time, Daniel, I apologize. I was wrong. Daddy was wrong. I made a mistake. I say it to my wife all the time. Sometimes even when I know I'm right, I tell my wife.
He's just keeping the peace.
Just that thing. All right, babe, you got it. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Let's just leave it alone. But I really don't get too angry with my. I get angry with my son when we're doing homework, and I know he knows the answer, but he doesn't want to do it. He's a smart kid. He knows the work. He just wants to do other things, and that's the only. I have to catch myself, because then my wife has to come in the room and separate me from my son.
Go to your corners.
She's like, do what daddy said. It takes me a while to lose my temper. When I lose my temper, I lose it. So I catch myself before I put my hands on him. And I'm like...
And he's very light-skinned, so you got to watch your hands, buddy.
I'm conscious of that. I really watch that.
So in other words, it wasn't the teacher all the time.
No, I know that. And I have to tell my wife that. I always know it's not always the teacher. He's very hard-headed. I don't know where he gets it from.
I had to learn that.
Oh.
I don't know where he gets it from. But with my son, it gets to a point where I know when I'm losing it. And I don't want to touch him. And at that point, I bring it down. I bring him close. I said, Nathaniel, you don't want daddy to spank you, right? Because daddy's about to spank you. And I try to verbalize everything. Let him know how I'm feeling.
ACS, close your ears.
Very patient with him. But, I kind of verbalize everything. And he understands when I'm losing it. He sees it in my eyes. He hears my tone. And then he'll do what I want him to do. He does his assignments. But besides that, I really don't get angry in the house.
All right, Mr. Family Man, you get angry? You get angry, Mr. Family Man?
I get upset. My kids had this thing that really it irked me. Kind of with Brother Gary talking with the cleaning too, but I'm not gonna go back there. This is the other part. I am happy that they wake up and take the initiative to do their work, the assignments with school. Now, a lot of them stay up a little later, but they wake up every morning at 6 o'clock and they just do all their assignment, try to finish by 9 o'clock, and the rest of the day they just have like free time. And they're like, they rather do it that way than not. But I want them to do the work in thing, because I want them to show their work and take the time. But they wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and they're like, they're pretty much they're beating the system. So by the time 6 a.m., by 9 o'clock, they're done.
Perfect.
And then the rest of the day, they want to just roadblock other stuff. So I have to like, hey, let me find tasks for you guys to do. Now they're saying that I'm penalizing them for doing the right thing. But I'm like, you are doing the right thing, but you know what? Sleep a little longer, wake up a little later, gauge the work. Because if I'm home, I want to see you doing what I, myself as a father, feel like you should be doing at the moment. Mm-hmm. So it's like me, I was just walking every time you're doing the roadblocks. Granted, yes, they did do their work. Granted, when I check it, it's correct, and every once in a while I come back, I want them to show work, but those are the little minor tweaks. But they're doing it correctly. But I don't want to, every time I pass, you either doing roadblocks or you're doing something else. So I want to take that device out of their hands. So now I have to find, so when I get angry now, I realize, like, hey, I'm getting angry for all these things. Maybe I should probably think. So I start talking to them more and trying to implement, minor changes here and there. And just so I don't get angry about it, because I don't, the devices I have to take, I don't want to take it away, because they pretty much can't go anywhere. They're like in the house, so I still have to be
Take it away.
Take it away.
I hide it. I put it. I hide it.
I took it to work. I take it to work with me.
Oh, yeah, but I just figured like, hey, they pretty much they go to the backyard. When I take them out, I take them to certain parks. Now the parks are filled. Like before, we had opportunity that we can walk and have a chat, and put my daughter in the front seat. I hope she doesn't look at this, but she tells me her life story in the front seat. Because normally my wife sits there, but when we go out and have a daddy-daughter, and she sits there, she just starts like telling me everything, anything that I want to know. Yeah. She just chatty, and I like that. It's good though. So,
That is nice.
but yeah, I do get angry though. And then to touch on what Brother Gary said, I don't look for it, but I'm very particular with how I think, like with their room, and when I try not to go to my kids' room because I get upset. Because I don't like the way that their room is, and they're like, Daddy, it's our room, why are you worrying about it? So I try not to go there, but I have to. So it's like, with me, is if you can keep, this is how I want my living room area, this is how I want my kitchen, this is how the bathroom should be kept, this is how, I want every part of the house upstairs, like the stairs area. I want it to be neat. Like, this is not your play
Yeah,
area.
I know, but you're married. What about what your wife thinks about how it
Oh,
should go?
my wife is like...
She agrees with you every...
No, she'd be like, oh, you just think so. Now my wife is like, hey, so with my wife is like, I'm the harsh one, and everyone always was like, how are you the harsh one? I'm not harsh though, I don't think I am. But my wife is more forgoing, because she more allowing, so the kids more gravitate to like, hey, mommy, anything, but when it comes to different aspect, then we switch.
So you're the one-eyed monster, okay. All right, so let's get another perspective now. So let's hear from Omar. So, you don't have people in your space. Mm-hmm. You're Mr. Introvert, but you do spend a lot of time on the phone. I get a lot of times I'm calling you. I get a text message, I'm on the phone, bro, don't call me, So do you find that has there been any change? Do you get angry? Are you less tolerant, now that this is taking effect? Is it this, or you're just getting older and you don't care anymore?
Yeah, I think what annoys me a lot, maybe not to the point of anger, but just really annoyance, is now that you're on lockdown, everybody expects you to be a part of everything. So I get all of these Zoom links, be on this one, and that really gets annoying to me. And like when I start to tell you a couple times that, hey, listen, I can't be on that. We got this. There are some things that I have very low tolerance for. Okay, I believe in a practical spirituality. And that's me. I'm a practical person, and I believe in a practical exercise of our spirituality. I have my own devotional time, like you, and Brother John. Yes, sir. But I'll be honest. I don't like prayer teleconferences. I'll get on some every now and then, but I don't like them for the same reason. I feel like you got some who are on it just a showboat. They want to show you how well they can pray. Like yourself, I have a style of prayer, that is very contemplative. I have the word in my hand. I'm kneeling over the word, or I'm sitting with the word in my hand, and I'm talking to God about the word. But when I'm hearing all of these things that have no pertinence I can't do it. So I get all these invitations.
You mean like roast people?
You're trying to get me in some trouble right here, But I get all these invites to join this early morning prayer thing, and then to join this midnight to 2 a.m. prayer thing, and I'm like, if I do all of these things, I am one person. If I do all of these things, how do I stay sane? What time do I rest? So I really do get annoyed, and if they were there in my space, then honestly it would be anger. But because they're at a distance and they're sending it via WhatsApp most of the times, I can just ignore it. So I just take that route of just ignoring some stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of times when you ignore, then people start calling you and say, and then, so here's the thing, because, you're a preacher and you're this, and so you're supposed to be involved in spiritual things, and how dare you not want to pray?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
you know, how does that work with pressure? How, you know, do you feel pressure, or, you know, you're okay with saying no?
Well, the truth is, again, if we had had these conversations a few years ago, I feel like, and again, I'm no paragon of virtue. Sometimes when I talk about my anger problems from the past, like people say, I can't even reconcile that, some of the stuff that I talk about with how you are now, and I'm thankful for those early experiences. I guess God is preparing me for these things, but I do get annoyed. And thankfully, there are only a few who will insist, oh, did you see so-and-so that I sent? And I'll say, I can't be on that. And if they're pushing, I will say, I'll send them my list of things that I'm doing each week. And I say, how do I do all of that, plus have my own prayer time in the mornings, and still do all of that stuff? So I think that after a while, that, you know, folks will get it. So again, it's just a matter of, I have to know me. I know Omar Williams. And when I start doing too much, like there was one week that was pretty rough, and then I came here and recorded the Thursday, and I felt like I bombed. Like I remember and that. You weren't here, because usually I rely on you or Brother Mark to tell me, like, you know, and I felt like I bombed. The place was hot, I was sweating, and then I had schoolwork to go home to do, and I felt like I was not going to meet the deadline, and I was so angry, I was so frustrated when I got to the car. I was like, I can't do all this. Why do I allow folks to drag me into this? So I've had to learn then how to say to people, no, I can't do that. I know me. I know that if I allow myself to be pulled in this direction and to do all of these things that people expect me to do, then I'm going to really begin to feel flustered and frustrated. So yeah, I'm taking the route of just saying no to people.
Yeah, you know, and if I'm going to be honest, you said some things here that very poignant as far as spirituality is concerned. One of the frustrating things for me is I find it very annoying people trying to figure out what God's doing. And when this whole thing started, everybody had theories. God is doing this and God is doing that, and of a truth, if we knew what God is doing, if I know what God is doing, He's not God to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You know, so I have Him figured out, and I don't want to figure out something that, you know, some being that I need to pray to. You know, if I haven't figured out, then I am God, and that was very annoying to me, that people were trying to guess, and God is angry, or this, or it's politics, or because of abortions, and you know, people had all kind of things to say. And for me, that was particularly annoying, and you know, this constant guessing about what God is doing. And I think in a lot of ways, as people of God or people of faith, you just got to take a step back and say, you know what, let God do His thing. All I have to do is stay in my place.
That's right.
Now, last round, I kind of wanted to discuss two more things. I don't know, can I do 2 rounds? Do 2 rounds? All right. And just real quickly, do you know anyone personally that passed on because of coronavirus? And how did that affect you? Just real quickly, if you guys could just go around and talk about that, and then I want to end with something something else. So, do you know anyone personally?
Now, well, I don't know anyone personally that is in like a personal circle that died, but I do know people, pastors who were close to people, you know, of mine, and you know, there's that feeling of their feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what they're going through, what they're experiencing, and comparing that with some of the crassness that you heard from us, very spirited people, you know, and you're like, just you know, be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just.
And that's why I want to mention that, because some people look at it and say, well, you know, you got people over here that they're supposed to be serving God, and they got coronavirus and they died, and so we tend to look at that and say, well, there's a judgment on them.
Time and chance happen to all people,
right? And that's kind of like what
and so it really did bring that home for me. And you know, I know we're not going to talk about race, but when you have certain things happening in the real world, and then there's a counter narrative in our over spiritualized world that is not consistent. Mm-hmm. I know it before, but it just really makes me annoyed to hear us with the chatter that just doesn't line up with what is really happening in our world.
Hudson, you know anyone?
I had my my aunt's husband pass away. I personally didn't know him too well, but having to speak to her and help her go through her pain and speaking to my cousin about it, it was difficult. I had a couple aunts and uncles also who were sick, but they were able to recover, and close calls. But that's just about it.
You, Danelle?
I know a couple, but the one based on we're just discussing it now, the one I would like to touch on is a doctor that is he deals with breathing actually, like preliminary, deal with the lungs and so forth, and it was more of a shocker to me that because I know he practiced safe PPE and all that, and when I heard that he passed away from it, and I'm like, wait. Are we talking about, I have to take a second and step back and say, wait, because, he is a true professional. He trained a lot of doctors, physicians within that field, and even how to protect yourself. So to even dealing with that type of situation, it wouldn't be something I would say relatively new for him. So it's like when he contracted, so it's like, wow, it's just kind of like, it was more at a standstill. And also I had a patient that I was really close to. I used to call her like my grandma. She knows my family. She's really close to me. And she beat cancer multiple times. She beat a lot of, other sickness that she had. And just as simple as I know how she is with cleanness, how she would be. She was, pretty much quarantined herself. She didn't have the virus, but her the aide that comes to her home got infected. She was infected, but she came to treat her because she couldn't do a lot of the regular day-to-day activities on her own, and so that one hit me hard too. So.
You, Gary?
No, I actually don't know anybody that's close, but a close friend of the family, sister passed, and it kind of shook us up because, during this time the kids would play with their kids, and the first thought that came to my mind is, what if, my kids get contact with this thing, but thank God that it did, and but yeah, nobody that I know that's really close.
Bob, I forgot to mention one person that I was very cool with, that I worked with, Derek Brunson.
Yeah.
Glad you said that because
Yeah.
that's what I had in mind.
Yeah.
So to your point and to what you were saying, a lot of times people look at it and say, well, people make judgments on other people because they got it or whatever. Now that guy, and I sent you, I think I sent you a screenshot saying,
Yeah, you're the one I actually
this guy, and I think I sent it to you too.
Yeah.
We both know him.
Yeah, I'm
And
really cool with him.
anybody can tell you, dude, when we all worked at Pfizer, and he's one of the, people that are true Christians.
Yeah.
I found out he was apostolic and the whole nine, and I started chatting him up a lot. Dude is, 6'2", 6'3",
Yeah.
Big guy.
about
Big guy.
350 pounds,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah.
teddy bear.
Yeah.
And not just a teddy bear in his disposition, but people would talk to him at work and they would curse at him.
Yeah.
And his response let me know that he was a true Christian. Some people you curse them, I rebuke you in Jesus' name. Don't do that. Speak to me like that. He's not that kind. He said, he would have a simple answer. He's like, hey, bro, why are you cursing at me? I don't curse at you when I talk to you. Respect me. And he says it in such a
Meekness.
in a disarming way that
Yeah.
I've seen even the most belligerent people come down. He knows about de-escalate. Maybe you should have worked with the cops. Anyway,
Throw it in for free.
Yeah, he knows how to de-escalate a situation, and I saw that. Really like the guy, and when they told me, it shook me, man.
Yeah.
It shook me for days.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I couldn't. I was just speechless.
Listen, it touched me a lot because I knew Brunson.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with him. You know, even when you told me, it really brought a tear to my eye. Because I spent a lot of time with him, being that I lived in Canarsie, he lived in the area.
Mm-hmm.
There was a brother that I very, very close with also, that we all know. I don't want to shout him out.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That brother would leave after work and, you know, kind of just leave me behind. And I needed a ride. Instead of taking the train, I'm tired of working 12 hours overnight.
Right.
I would have really appreciated a ride home.
Yeah.
Because he lives in Canarsie also.
Right.
He would be gone. Derek Brunson did not work with me in my department, but the guy would wait for me and drop me home on a regular basis. And we would sit and talk about life. He would give me advice. He was an older brother,
Mm-hmm.
you know, bring a little tear to my eyes now, but older brother, and he would just sit in the car with me and just rap with me and just sit. Give me a life advice. Women, work, life in general. And I appreciate it so much. And you're right about him being a Christian. He wasn't perfect, and he sat down and he told me he's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But we would talk about life and just things we need to do for God. He would talk about his daughters, how much he loves his daughters and such. And it hurt. It hurt when I found out that guy passed away. We would sit in a van. He had a nice, a big van.
Yeah.
We would sit in a van, and he would just sit there with me in front of my house and just talk with me for like 45 minutes, telling me about life and his experiences and trying to help me and said, listen, you know, keep your head up. You're going through some things, but don't worry. God is in your life. You know, just keep pushing on.
Good dude.
And I appreciate him so much. You don't know.
Good dude.
Spectacular guy. Great heart.
Yeah.
You talk about being a big teddy. He had a huge heart.
Yeah.
Loved a lot of people. Took care of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Took care of a lot of people. And a lot of people wouldn't know it. And when you said, you told me he passed, I went on his Facebook and I saw how many people he touched that reached out to him. At that point, I reached out to a couple guys that I knew that I hung out with at Pfizer. And I just told them that I loved them. I know we don't get to talk often, but I just want you guys to know I love you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate the experience I had with you guys in Pfizer. It taught me a lot. And I just want to let you guys know all of this, since I don't get to speak to you on a regular basis. You know, because it really touched me when that guy passed away. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
I really love that guy.
All right, so last round. What adjustments are you going to make in the future, Gary, in terms of what have you learned from this and what do you want to take in your life? And so I had a talk with Dave. You know, you guys remember Dave, Deacon Dave,
Yes.
Mr. Dave? So Dave was, you know, we were just talking, we talk all the time, and Dave was saying, bro, you know, the big thing for him is, what am I going to do differently, you know, in the future? How am I going to live my life differently? One of the things that always shake me as far as we are as humans, you know, we live our life and we just go about whatever. But then there's this, I call it the perspective of death. Someone close to us, someone that we hold near and dear, someone that we revere, they pass. And it gives us a perspective in life. And it might not necessarily be from a death, but because of this, and we saw the impact that it had on the world, we got to ask ourselves a question now. What are we going to do differently?
Yes, for me, what I'm taking from this is communication. There's something that my family get upset with me because they will say, I've been calling you, I've been texting you, and you don't respond. Sometimes
It's not just your family.
Thank you.
That's like every man in church.
You know, sometimes you get home and you just want to shut everything down and just, you know, you get beat up on the job and you just need it. Even sometimes I'm home and I just go to a room by myself. I just need that time. And I think, you know, with all of this is going on, I'm gonna try, and I've been working on it, Kevin. I've been working on it. You know, communication, stay in contact, you know, with people, and you know, I never realized how much I hate cell phone until, you know, everybody's trying to reach me. But there's something that I'll take from this. I'll make a conscious, you know, effort to.
I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but can I just give you one suggestion? Even if you respond and say, hey, give me an hour, let me hit you back, because I get that from Omar all the time. You know, hey, I'm in the middle of something right now, I'll hit you back, and then you set a reminder on your phone to hit back, because Brother Omar don't get back to you either. No, I'm just but you know, but if you say, because then with no communication, it looks like you're ignoring. And you saw how I left the chat a couple of times. I was like, you know what, I'm tired of Gary. You know, I'm out of here. But you know, in all fairness, if you just say, hey, listen, I got your message, let me get back to you or something, and then you set. So I think that reminder feature on the cell phone is a big, you know, and I just, you know, just a simple thing. I mean, I wish I could have answers for my own life, but I'm just saying, you know, if that would help with the communication, because I know I personally suffer from that with you. So that's why I say that.
So I will actually, you know, I actually started doing that.
Yeah.
I just got a pop-up to call somebody that, you know.
Yeah, not right now. Not,
Yeah.
Denell, you.
For me, I would say prioritizing the things that are important to me and to my life. A lot of time, a lot of the things that I have in place, sometimes you prioritize the wrong things and you don't make what's important, you put it first. So for me, it's just, with this whole thing, is like not taking anyone for granted, not taking the blessings that the Lord have given to me for granted, but also still better prepare myself and put myself in a better position in the future. Not saying that it's bad now, but still better than where I'm at now. So just in case anything happens, I'll be better prepared. And I'll say this entire pandemic has done something to me. I mean, everyone, I know it's a negative thing somewhat, but for me it has brought me so much closer to my family. We were close before, but now we are closer than we ever been. And that only happened because of the simple fact that we were home and we were quarantined together, and we were just in each other's spaces. And not only just in each other's spaces, we were even communicating more. Sometimes it's very frustrating. I learn a lot, but those are the things that I want to take now and build upon as we move forward. So for me, that's pretty much it. Oh wait, also, sorry. Like where I'm at right now is spiritually. If something was to happen to me now, I would be good. But my fear now, which is something I'm going to work on, is I don't want anything happen to me, and I'm going to sit back and say, and the Lord asks me, what have I done? And I haven't done enough. So for me, it's like, who am I helping? Like, I know the truth, and I've been trying, but am I trying hard enough? So my fear is not initially of me, but it is of me. It's not like, my fear is, hey, if I die and everything, it'd be like, who did I help? Like, how much souls did we save? I know the truth, and I have to do something. But for me, so that's something I have to build upon also.
One thing I probably would change, and I know I will change. I realized through this pandemic of how much I love you guys. I love you
you
guys.
too, my brother.
I love being here. I love being in this place here in church. I love church people. I love my brothers and sisters in church. I don't know, it probably doesn't show by my actions with me being here as much as I should. But I always say,
Loving from a distance?
too much. I gotta get closer.
social distance.
I always say the best time of my life has been in church, hands down. The happiest I've been in my life is when I was in church, hands down. And being in this pandemic, not being able, when you don't know what you have until you lose it.
Take it for granted.
Not being able to come to church, them telling me you can't go to church, there's no church, makes me feel like, wow, I need to be in church. I need to be around the guys. I need to be around people who love God, who speak the word. Talking with Gary, the best time of my life is when I would say in high school. Last year in high school, I would be in school scribbling while the teacher's talking on a piece of paper, writing down scriptures. Memorize scriptures that I memorized, write it down over and over. So people would wonder, he knows the scripture? Because I wrote it several times throughout the day. I'm reciting it to myself, I'm writing it, and that joy that I had in my life, it's the best I've ever felt in my life. And I've done a lot of things. I've had fun with my friends, traveling, love my wife, love my parents. The happiest I've been in my life is when I was coming to church on a Wednesday for a service with a prophet from out of town. Hopping in a bus, a van, 8 o'clock at night to come pick me up to bring me to church. That's the happiest I've been in my life, and I miss that. And not during this pandemic, not being around you guys. That's why I'm texting you. Out of the blue.
I have screenshots of that. Same exact. So
I'm texting you. I'm asking Gary, hey, well, what's up? Gary doesn't really hit me back. So I'm just like, but I'm texting the people that would hit me back.
he just got the reminder.
Hey, I was speaking to Bob, saying, listen, Bob passed by the house randomly on a Saturday morning to pick up something with Sister Johnson. I'm like, hey, guys, get out the car. Come inside. Hey, take a seat. Have a drink. Let's talk. I just want to be around you guys. I miss being around people who know the word, love the word, and we can relate it to everyday life. And it's a great feeling. It's great being here today. I was so happy when Gary asked me to participate in this. I said, of course I'll be there. I'm taking this out. And I can't wait till all of this goes away a little bit at least. For you guys to come over and just hang out. I just like being around you guys. And and it's true what the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. So the more I'm around you guys, the more I want to pray, the more I want to, read and just live my life the way I should be. And this is how it should be. I should be seeing you guys on a regular basis, and I appreciate it.
Save that.
Right?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. I'm there. Free barbecue chicken, I'm there.
I'm good with the grill too.
Got me throw something in the grill. But I think for me, this quarantine has taken away some excuses. Number one, I'm not very good at communication. And I'll admit that too.
You mean no? Type that, tweet that.
No, don't type that. But yeah, for real, I am not very good at communication, and I feel like this season has made me think more intentionally about that, especially with my family, my siblings and my mom, and what we've started doing. It's funny how we always had these technologies that were there, like Zoom was always there, but we just never really used it. And since we've been in quarantine, we have video conference several times. Just talk, just laugh, just see how everybody's doing, and I mean that really means so much to me. You know what I mean? So I feel like that is definitely something that I would want to keep going with just utilizing that some more. There is no excuse. You can talk to anybody, anywhere, and see them real time. So that is something that, the other one, and for this one, I want to give a shout out to the media team here, and of course, OPT, media team. All right, but I want to also single out Kevin and Jonathan, who have really pushed me to get ahead and stay ahead. So like staying 1 week ahead. So whatever message I'm working on, whatever lesson I'm working on is not for the night of or the Sunday coming. It's for 2 Sundays down the road or whatever. So I feel like that is something too that I want to hold on to. Because when you are prepared and you're not rushing to do stuff, you can get more stuff in. Like thankfully during this season I've been able to get with some of our seniors like every Wednesday and every Sunday to make sure that they're getting to see the services, because again, you're not rushing to do stuff, you know what I mean? Those are some of the things that I think that I really want to hold on to. It really, when you stay ahead of the game, it really does give you more time for other people and other things.
Good stuff. Well, we went a little long, and I just want to say I appreciate you guys. You're really candid and honest, and I really appreciate that, because I think as Christians a lot of times we're not transparent. As men, we're not. Having a conversation with a friend of mine a few years ago, and we were just trying to examine or investigate the differences, between men and women, and how women, why is it that men commit suicide more? And one of the things is women get together and they talk. They have no solutions, but they talking. They talking, and they talk to each other, but they get it out. And they get it out. As a matter of fact, if you look at it, you go to therapy. The person's not really telling you, just talk and you get it off your chest. I think for us, I know for me, when I went through some things, I didn't even want my family to see. I remember vividly, seeing right now, I was in the shower crying. And I just sit there and let the tears, because then when you come out the shower, nobody knows you were crying. And so, trying to get out, why are your eyes red? Oh, it was a shampoo. So as men, we're taught that. And so, as a matter of fact, especially black men, don't let anybody see you weak, because so you gotta, not let anybody see any chink army. So you walk around with this, full suit of armor all the time, and then something happened, and you're like, what? I didn't know this guy was suffering from this or this issue, and whatever, because you have internalized so much. And so that friend, we communicate all the time, much to everybody's chagrin. We text 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 o'clock sometimes. We talk, and we text all the time. We don't do a lot of, since the pandemic, he's doing a lot of FaceTime call. I'm like, bro, what is FaceTime? And it goes against my core of looking at a man's face, and you talk to them, and so. But I realized that those things are important. It's like Hudson said, it's important to make that connection, and to whatever. People in the world, they do it over beer. They always want to go somewhere, and so I think, if for nothing else, we need to change the culture where we start talking. You guys gave a lot of perspective, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate. A lot of men out there can relate on many areas, many facets of what you guys say, and that's why I appreciate it. Now, this is part 1. Part 2, we want to kind of change the narrative not necessarily change, but we want to build on this, because in the middle of this pandemic, we now have another thing to deal with, something that we've been dealing with for, centuries. And so, with racism and police brutality, and so we want to talk a little bit about that, how that has complicated things, and how that in a lot of ways have overshadowed the pandemic, where now the anger that we feel of being oppressed for so many years, how that is the most important thing to us now. And now in a lot of ways, we sometimes just ignore the fact that, you go out there, you want to fly the bar and, social distancing or nothing, and, it's still a real threat. But now the complication of having to deal with many things on many fronts and how that impacts us. And so we want to make that part two. Now, we said at the beginning we weren't going to do this, but I'll put myself out there. And so if you have any questions, that would lead into the next discussion, or even about the discussion that we had today, you can email me at robert.harris@oneness.nyc. You could email me. I'll just take the bad with the good, so you could email me and we'll go through it. But I really encourage any one of you out there that you really want to include.
Please stress that it's 2 R's in your Paris.
That's right, Robert.Paris, 2 R's in Paris. It's not the city in France. It's Paris from the city in London or in the UK. Sorry, it's Parris. So it's robert.paris@oneness.nyc. So you could email me and we'll field these questions and try to cover that on the next go around. We have gone a little bit long, and so I just want to thank you if you're viewing this and you appreciate what we're saying. Just even if you just want to send a message to say thanks for doing this, it really helped me to realize that I'm not the only one going through something. Amen. So God bless you, and we hope that you enjoyed it and that you'll tune in on the next time.